The Marlins still unable to win back-to-back games or a series opener as they are shut out 3-0 by the Braves in Atlanta tonight, wasting a solid pitching outing from Robert Weathers. And looked like the Marlins were off to a good start early. In fact, they had 8 hits tonight, but they could not get the big one that would bust open an inning and get them in this game. In fact, for a while, it would have put them in the lead. So the Marlins dropped the series opener in Atlanta. The bats stymied in the critical parts of the game again. And the pitching was great for the most part, except for one bad inning for Weathers, and that did him in for the Miami Marlins. I knew I was going to do that. Old school here in the house. My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. This is your Locked On Miami Marlins postcast. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen every day. We're free. We're available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. It's your Locked On Miami Marlins postcast, and it starts right now.
You are Locked On Marlins postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, guys? My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Still getting the hang of the production side of the show. It's all in the clicks, right? The Locked On Podcast Network Miami Marlins postcast show tonight. The Marlins lose 3-0 on the road against the Atlanta Braves tonight in the ATL. And man, what a time of year in Atlanta, if you've ever been in Atlanta in the spring. But the Marlins not liking the way things have been going against the Braves lately. They have not played well against Atlanta, and nobody's played well against Atlanta when you think about it. The Braves have the best record in baseball at 15-6 right now, while the Marlins dropped to 6-18. They still haven't won back-to-back games, guys. After the 6-3 win in Chicago yesterday to finish up the series, the Braves have won 20 of their last 26 games against the Marlins. Let me say it again. 20 of their last 26 games against the Miami Marlins, the Braves have won, and it was a milestone night. And Travis d'Arnaud, 5 home runs in his last 8 at-bats, now last 9 at-bats. They were able to get him out later in the game, but a 2-run shot barely hit the foul pole off of Weathers tonight. 5th home run in 4 games. Bryce Elder back in the big leagues. How about this? The guy makes the All-Star team last year. He was 12-4 with a 3.81, made 31 starts for the Braves last year. Really good first half, struggled in the second half, got hit hard in the playoffs against Philadelphia. Remember that? And he began this season, after a not so great of a spring training, he began this season in the minors in AAA, which many times can be no man's land, right? A lot of times you'll hear people say, you want to go straight from AA to the show, because if you get stuck in AAA, that means you're not going to the show after too long of a time. And that's been, proven time and time again over the years. But the Marlins are 0-7 in series openers this year. The Braves have won 20 of their last 26 games against Florida. And it was d'Arnaud tonight with that 2-run homer. And, it was David Fletcher with the RBI single before that. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. The Braves are red hot. And, of course, the Marlins, who haven't won back-to-back games all year and haven't won a series opener all year and are not quite the worst team in baseball, but knocking on that door. They run into a buzzsaw tonight in Atlanta. And you know what? They played pretty well. They got a great performance yesterday. Not a great performance, but a good performance yesterday from Edward Cabrera. Might have the most upside out of anybody in the majors, any prospect. And you could see that our guys on Locked On Marlins talked about that on their show. If you want to check that out right here on this same YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your podcast. But man, the Marlins just couldn't get that timely hit tonight. It's a 3-0 game. All 3 of those runs come in the 4th inning, right? Weathers walks 2, gives up 3 hits. He gave up 6 hits and walked 4 in 5 2/3. 3 of the hits, 2 of the walks in that 1 inning in the 4th. And it was Fletcher and d'Arnaud who made him pay. And d'Arnaud, like I said, barely hit the foul pole. That could have easily been a foul ball, and you'd have been looking at a 1-0 game, which, by the way, the Marlins still would have lost because it was a 3-0 final. But either way, I digress. d'Arnaud's been on fire. Ronald Acuna stole his 190th career base, and that is good enough to make him the all-time leader for the Atlanta Braves franchise since they moved to Atlanta, surpassing Rafael Furcal, the great shortstop in the 90s, 2000s. You remember those Braves teams going to the they were just tremendous for a long time with Chipper Jones and those guys. And I think Furcal was more in the 2000s, but that great Braves dynasty lasted for so long. And Didn't beat the Marlins in 97, though. What a series that was when the Marlins got past Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine, and what a run that was in 97. What a run it was in 03, for that matter, for the then Florida Marlins, who are now the Miami Marlins, of course. And I'm going to tell you what, guys. Baseball really is a game of timing. It's such a game of timing, right? The Marlins had 8 hits tonight. Weathers only allowed 6 hits and 4 walks, right? I say only, scattered them, but 3 of them were in that one inning. You take away that 4th inning, and Weathers pitched a really good game. And of course, that's absurd for me to even say that. But you're looking for bright spots anywhere you can find them when you're 6-18, and you've played like the Marlins have played this year. You're looking for bright spots literally anywhere you can find them, and they haven't found too many. The Marlins haven't this year. And man, I'll tell you, it's been frustrating to see the Marlins. I mean, 8 hits tonight, right? You look at the box score, they did not play a bad game when you're just looking at that. And, obviously you can't just go by that. You're not going to judge it by that. But, in the first inning, we're going to get to it in a second, but the clutch hitting just hasn't been there. We're going to get into that more later in the show. They're shut out in Atlanta. They're not getting the timely hitting. They opened the game, and I'll get to this in a second more, but Luis Arraez with a single, Bryan De La Cruz with a single. It's first and second. Arraez does not go to third on the single, and I thought he could have made it, and you just wonder why he didn't do it. And then he gets thrown out at the plate on Chisholm's double because he gets hung up a little bit before he takes off, right? So bad base running by Arraez takes him out of what could have been a huge inning. You got a guy coming back to the majors whose confidence has already been driven down a little bit by the fact that he starts the year in the minors after a brutal second half and a rough playoff game last year. And he was an all-star last year. So you have a chance to get to it. It's his first game back in the majors. He's at home. He's all excited. You got a chance to rough him up in the inning. You run yourself out of it, Arraez and the Marlins, and you just don't score a run. You have 3 hits in a row to start an inning. How many times can you get 3 hits? How many times have you ever seen? Answer me this. How many times have you ever seen, and of course you can't answer me, but just, answer me in your own head, right? How many times have you seen a team get 3 hits in a row to start an inning and not score 1 run? 2 singles and a double, back to back to back. Arraez, De La Cruz, and Chisolm Jr., Jazz. And bad base running, you run yourself out of the inning. You get flyouts from Bell and Sanchez, Josh Bell and Jesus Sanchez, and they are out of the inning without 1 run scored. You ask why a team's 6-18, things like that. That's why. Bad pitching in spurts. Good the rest of the time. A bad 4th inning for Weathers. Inconsistency. That's how you end up 6-18. And they're not ending up anywhere. That's what they are right now. That's how you go 6-18. They could not get the timely hit, man. They could not get the timely hit. Chisolm had 2 hits tonight. They had 6 other guys on the team have a hit tonight. You got 8 hits. You're scattered throughout the game. And you're not getting the timely hit when you need it. You're not getting the 2-out hit to drive in a run or 2. You're just not getting those hits. You're just not getting that type of production right now. Being the Miami Marlins, you're just not getting it. You're just, period, point blank, you're not getting it. I mean, you're looking at some of the examples from the game tonight, and I'll just go through a couple of them because that first inning was a perfect example, right? I'm going to hit that one first because that was the killer, right? Arraez singles to center. De La Cruz singles to left. Arraez does not go to third. So first and second. First base running mistake. You always want to take third if you can. But you don't want to run yourself into the first out of the inning at third base. Understood. All right. Chisolm doubles to center. De La Cruz ends up at third because Arraez gets thrown out at home. And he got hung up. And it was bad base running. And he should not have been thrown at home. Should have scored on that easily. It's a double. And just bad base running runs him out of the inning. And Bell flies to center, Sanchez flies to left. That's it for the Marlins in the first inning, right? And then there were they go 1, 2, 3 in the second. In the third inning, 1, 2, 3. In the 4th inning, they get a little bit of something going after 2 outs. Sanchez singles to right. Anderson singles to right. Sanchez only goes to second, not to third. So 2 outs, 2 hits in a row with 2 outs. And then Gordon grounds out to second, can't get the run home. The Braves score their runs in the 4th. Olsen lines out to second. Ozuna walks. It's those walks to kill you, right? Darno homers to left. And then Duvall walks. Harris grounds out. Duvall to second. Fletcher singles to right, and Duvall scores there. And then the Marlins come up in the 5th. Boom, down 1, 2, 3. Then in the 6th inning for the Marlins, De La Cruz strikes out swinging. Infield single by Chisolm Jr. Bell gets hit by a pitch. His first and second with 1 away. Sanchez grounds into a double play. End of the rally. See what I mean? It's the timing for the Marlins that's killing them right now, guys. It's the absolute timing that's killing them right now. In the 7th, Anderson grounds out, Gordon grounds out, Rivera gets a 2-out single. They change pitchers. Fortes strikes out swinging. In the bottom of the top of the 8th, it's a 1-2-3 inning. AJ Minter pitching for the Bravos, and then Iglesias in the 9th, and the Marlins go 1-2-3 again. And the Braves almost scored again in the 9th inning. Harris singles with 2 outs. Kelenic walks, but then Acuna strikes out swinging. And the Braves only got those 3 runs in that 1 inning. But it comes down to so many times is the timing. And they just were not able to get the big 2-out hit or the big hit to bust open an inning and get that big inning. The Marlins just need something like that to happen. They need that big breakout game. They need that big breakout hit. They need that big breakout inning to get the confidence going. I thought maybe they would have gotten it after the 6 runs scored in Chicago yesterday, but very, very little consistency from this team so far this year, if any at all. And that's absolutely killing them. If you think about it, the Marlins right now, it is absolutely killing them as they are moving forward. And when you think about it, guys, they're just not able to get things done offensively. And that's something that's really been hurting them. And they need to correct that. They really need to correct that if they're going to do anything this year. And that's something that, obviously it's master of the obvious is something that, that you could call me when I say that, but it's the timing. It's the timing in baseball. You need to have that knack for getting the big hit in the big situation. And, I just wonder if the Marlins are going to be able to do that. I wonder if they're going to be able to do that because I'm not seeing it so far at all this year. And 6-18, 24 games is a pretty good sample size, right? It's a pretty good sample size. And I don't understand why we're not seeing it from the Marlins just yet. I think we should be seeing it. I think we should have seen it by now. And it's just something we're definitely, it's a team that made the playoffs a year ago and a guy who wins manager of the year. So you have to think coming into this season, you thought that things were going to be a lot better for the Marlins. And, they just weren't, and they haven't been all year. And that's really got to be corrected because without that, they're going nowhere. And this season is already on the brink. I mean, you're talking about this season. It's if it's not already lost already, it is really, really, really on the brink. And that's something that is not going to go away. It's just, and this could be ugly real quick. And you could be looking at something where, by the end of August, you're literally just, oh my goodness, you don't even want to know what that stadium's going to look like at that point. I don't want to be too much doom and gloom here. You're watching the Miami Marlins postcast, but they better get something going offensively and better develop some sort of consistency offensively and defensively for that matter. Better find some pitching. I like what I saw from Cabrera yesterday. Weathers in spots tonight. Man, he reminds me of his dad, minus the hair. David Weathers, a solid reliever for the Marlins for years and starter as well. Did both, if I'm not mistaken. David Weathers. Stormy Weathers. Who called him that? Joe Angel? I can't remember. I cannot remember. My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. You're watching the Miami Marlins postcast right here on your Locked On Miami YouTube channel and listening wherever you listen to your podcast. It really is a interesting year so far. It has been an interesting year so far for the Marlins. We keep it going on the show. We're going to talk more about their inability to get the clutch hit, about how in situations and times in different times during games, you need certain players to come through, and you need the middle of that lineup in particular, and the guys who are supposed to be counted on to do those things. Who are those guys? Who's going to step up for the Marlins? We'll talk about that as we continue on the show, but first, gotta talk to you about a couple of the folks who are helping us pay the bills here at the Locked On Podcast Network. First up, talking to you about eBay Motors. That's right. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps you ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. That's right, your money back. If it doesn't fit, it's guaranteed every time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. That is ebaymotors.com. Also, man, how about this Monopoly Go game, right? I mean, you see it all over TikTok. You see it all over social media. It's a freaking trend everywhere you look. Monopoly Go is taking over the world. We've all been there, right? Either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard's not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep. You lift your head up and you say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. Yeah, I said it. I'm shameless about it too. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's all the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies and rub it right in their face when you're kicking their butts. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. The Vegas Strip's my favorite. Always, never Miami too. South Beach in there. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent on your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go. Now free on the App Store or Google Play. Monopoly Go is a proud sponsor and supporter of the Locked On Podcast Network. And that might have been my cleanest break since I started. It's not as easy as it looks running this thing as you go. You need to be an octopus, right? I always had respect for all my studio producers, long radio and TV career, including shout-outs, 790 The Ticket, 850 WFTL, and WQAM 560 in the MIAO. Love you guys as we continue with the Miami Marlins postcast here, plus a camera in your face for a half hour straight. No wiggle room, nowhere to move, but at least I got my, I'm looking good. I got my U pullover here, class of, I'm not going to say what year. You, alum right here, proud alum of the University of Miami. The Marlins dropped the opener of this series tonight in the ATL 3-0 against the Braves. And you know, Bryce Elder comes back, and we've already talked about it, guys. Bryce Elder, you know, a pretty good pitcher for the Braves, right? But you had him on the ropes early. This dude made the All-Star team a year ago, had a not-so-good second half, and an abominable, I love the word abominable, an abominable playoff outing last year against Philly, and a lot of people had abominable playoff outings against Philly last year. But Bryce Elder, right? I mean, 6'2", 220, makes the All-Star team a year ago, coming back from AAA, started the season in AAA. Last year, the second half of the playoffs were so bad, combined with the spring this year, that he's in the minors to start the year. He comes back, right, to a team that has the best record in baseball, and they're killing the Marlins. They've won 20 out of 26. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, or 9 out of 10, the Braves, whatever it is, right? Arraez singles. De La Cruz singles. Arraez doesn't go to third. I'm cool with that. Chisholm doubles. Arraez gets thrown out at home. Not cool with that. No way you let that happen. This guy's coming back to the big leagues for the first time this year. You have him on the ropes in his first start back. You can crush this dude. Get him out of there. Get into their bullpen. Set the tone for the whole series. It is inexcusable to have 2 singles and a double to start an inning and score nothing. Nothing. You are not a big league baseball player on that level unless you know how to scratch across those runs in those situations. That's why you're there. You have to figure out a way to get at least 1 home. I mean, 3 hits in a row, single, double to start an inning. That should be at least 2 or 3 runs. The Marlins get nothing, man, and that's timing. That's just, you know, you should not see that from a big league team. You know, and to not bunt Chisholm, how can you argue with that? Because he doubles, right? And Arraez gets hung up and doesn't score. Terrible base running. Terrible. This dude's 12-4 with a 3.81 last year. Starts the year in the minors this year. His first start is today. You have a chance to set that tone because you get him out of the game early, right? As it was, he goes 6 2/3. He scatters 8 hits, right? But he doesn't walk a hitter. And you had a chance to crush him and get him out of there, or at least get a lead early. Even if he stayed in the game, you'd have a 2 or 3 run lead early in the game, and you'd be up early playing from ahead instead of, you know, a tie game, and then you're playing from behind after the 4th inning, and more on that in a minute. But you have got to find a way to score a run in that first inning. You have got to find a way to get that big 2-out hit. You have got to find a way to bust open an inning, to do anything to give your team a spark, especially playing the Braves. Nothing will build a team's confidence better than beating a team that's playing great. The Braves are the best team in baseball record-wise right now, 15-6. A big inning like that in the first to set the tone for the series, maybe get into their bullpen early, deplete them early in the series, and you have a chance to maybe win a series, maybe win 2 games in a row for the first time all year, maybe win a series opener for the first time all year, but they could not scratch the run across. Even in the fourth, Weathers walks 2 of his 4, gives up 3 of his 6 hits, and d'Arnaud hits the home run off the foul pole. I mean, that's the way the ball bounces, right? Or slices in this case, and it's sliced right into the foul pole. So that's, or them's the breaks, as we like to say, and, I really believe that over the course of a 162-game season, you're going to get more breaks. You're going to get more things happening, and it's going to go in ebbs and flows, right? But, man, the Marlins they've not been ebbing or flowing this year. And it's been a tough go for your Miami Marlins. Ryan Weathers drops to 2-2. Iglesias goes a perfect 9th for his 7th save. He's 7 out of 7 for the Braves. They're looking like world beaters again this year. Unreal, and just, great teams figure out ways to win games, and the Braves didn't really have it tonight offensively. They didn't put any rallies together either, except that 4th inning. d'Arnaud hits the homer, then they get the RBI single for the insurance runs, and insurance run 2 on the home run, really. But man, I mean, the other thing too is they hit into a lot of double plays. They had 2 of them that ended innings tonight. I believe it was the 2nd inning and the 6th inning. They hit into double plays and ended rallies or ended innings that could. So those are killers. Those are absolute killers. You can't strike out. You can't hit the ball you can't hit the ball on the ground and do double play. It's going to happen, but to have it happen twice to end innings, and then just the way that first inning went down, and that's the kind of thing that'll make Skip go crazy. Tomorrow it's going to be Max Fried against Trevor Rogers, 0-2 with a 3.92. Fried is 1-0 with a 7.7 ERA. Very hittable lefty against the Marlins tomorrow. I'd expect to see them score some runs. That's the middle game of the series. And, of course, we'll be here with the post-cast right after. Yours truly, Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease after every Marlins game, every Heat game. And, of course, the Heat play on Wednesday. And that'll be in Boston against the Celtics. They trail that series 1-0 without Jimmy Butler. And so not a great week for the Miami sports teams. You got the Dolphins and, of course, the University of Miami Hurricanes right here. We'll have those postcasts for you in the fall. But right now, every day, the Marlins, and we'll be on this, man, they need to find a way to scratch and score some runs. We'll talk some more about the Braves when we wrap it up on your Miami Marlins postcast here on the Locked On Miami YouTube channel and wherever you get and listen to your podcast. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and I am going to take a quick break, and we will keep it going in just a minute. And the reason why is because FanDuel is taking over the world. I'm convinced we're all just here to bet on FanDuel. That's right. It's playoff time. The NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing. Could put a Marlins joke in there, but I won't. And FanDuel is your place to bet on every single solitary game played anywhere on God's green earth. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed from FanDuel. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for, man? Woman, what are you waiting for, girl? Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make your first bet an automatic win or lose. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and proud sponsor of the Locked On Podcast Network and the Miami Marlins postcast right here on the Locked On Miami channel. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Styling and profiling all over the world right here on the Locked On Miami YouTube channel and wherever you get and listen to your podcasts here after every Miami sports contest. Well, not all of them, not everything, but Marlins baseball, Dolphins football, University of Miami football, and Miami Heat basketball. Not bad, right? As we roll out that new initiative this year, the postcasts all over Locked On Sports Network, your team every day on the Locked On Sports Network. And I am telling you what, the Marlins just need to find that mojo a little bit. The timing is everything. 8 hits. 8 hits. You have to figure you'd score a run? No, 0. That first inning, single, double. You think you score a couple runs there. No runs scored. None. No runs scored. No runs scored. Nothing. 8 hits. And in that first inning, back to start the game. Man, Elder's credit, didn't walk anybody, but they had Bryce on the ropes, man. You got to knock him out. His confidence is shot. Now he's got his confidence back. He might go on a roll now, but you could have killed him tonight in that first inning. Could have just killed him. Dug those spikes right in to his throat. Unable to do it. Unable to do it were the Miami Marlins tonight, and that's something that we've seen all year. It's been a theme for them. The timing is everything, and the timing has been not so great for them. And, you got Trevor Rogers taking on Max Fried tomorrow. Let's take a look at Max Fried real quick, right? Because you're looking at anything right now. You're looking for anything for the Marlins that could give them an advantage where you think they might start hitting better, might score some runs, might do some things they need to do offensively. And if this computer would ever load, remember that? If you don't, you're lucky. Max Fried, 6'4", 190, big dude, got that whip action in the arm, 30 years old, and I mean, he got hit pretty hard his last time out. In 16 innings, he's given up 23 hits and 15 runs, 14 earned, 2 homers, 9 walks, and 12 strikeouts. He's got filthy stuff, but he's got erratic control. So a little bit of patience tomorrow, a little bit of making him work deep in counts and things like that will really help against a guy like Fried. Patience. You and I just need a little patience. I don't know how good that was or how bad that was. In my head, it sounded good. That's what mattered to me. But, when you are not going well, and the Marlins certainly are not going well, they haven't won 2 games in a row all year. They haven't won a series opener all year at 0-7. You've lost 20 of 26 now to the Braves. You need anything you can get to get it going. And the Braves have the best record in baseball. So if you don't want it to get ugly, you work the counts tomorrow against Fried. You get some support going for Trevor Rogers, who hasn't been bad. Right? How do you feel about Trevor Rogers? He's another lefty. Obviously, the Marlins counting on him tomorrow and Fried with the filthy stuff, but the lack of control. If they're patient, if they're smart, they can get some things going, score some runs off this dude, work those counts, rattle him a little bit, run those bases hard, do every single thing you can. Every single thing you can to try to scratch and claw and get those runs across. That's what you got to do at this point. You have to score runs any way you can if you're the Marlins. And that's the only way they're going to be able to really get things going offensively, is to just find ways to scratch and claw and push runs across. And then you need guys to step up in the middle of the lineup. You don't have that. Arraez last year, great start to the year. De La Cruz as well. I mean, these dudes are really good players and they can get it going. But then you're going to need guys behind them to drive them in if they're going to be setting the table. And, that hasn't been the case so far for the Marlins. And, you're looking at Rogers' his last time out, went 5 2/3, gave up 4 hits and an earned run with 6 strikeouts against the Giants. Lost that game 3-1. He's lost 2 games 3-1 this year, where he's pitched pretty well and allowed 2 earned runs in one of them and 1 earned run in the other, and he's lost 3-1. So, again, they're losing a lot of close games where they're just not scoring runs, and they need to score some dang runs. The Marlins lose 3-0 in Hotlanta in the ATL against the Braves tonight to open up their series. 0-7 in series openers this year. They've lost 20 of 26 to the Braves, and they have not won back-to-back games yet. This season, they dropped to 6-18. 2 teams play again tomorrow, and we will have the postcast right after the matchup for you here. Locked On Miami, and wherever you get your podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Before I roll on out of here, I want to remind you that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. That's going to do it for me, sports fans. Keep your game tight and your mind right. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease at @JimGrease_. I will talk to you again tomorrow on the Miami Marlins postcast.